the Boxing Now podcast. I am your host, that dude named Dave here, and to my, I say left or right, whatever the case would be. I'm like dyslexic right now. So, hey, Jorge, what's going on, man?
Did you just really say you were dyslexic right now and you
Yeah.
got your lefts and rights mixed up?
Yes, I did.
You've been hitting the head so many times, man. It's like a boxer already.
Yeah, I take too many shots in the head, and it just happens, Hey, it is what it is.
So this would be to your left, my friend.
Yeah. To the left. I look at different screens here, become trying to be a studio engineer, producer, host, podcast extraordinaire, all in one.
Feels like you're looking at a mirror. You're like, I don't know what my rights and my lefts are.
I don't know what to do here.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Oh my God. Hey, thanks for chiming back in, people. We're back with Boxing Now podcast. Another episode here. I don't know what episode number this is. I don't care anymore. It'll be in the description below.
Numero 8.
Yeah. Thank you. It'll be in the description below, though. So let's get all the particulars out the way. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to put it on the screen here. Like and subscribe, because you know what, though? When the show pops up, then you don't got to look for us. It comes right up, okay? Also, too, YouTube, Boxing Now Podcast. Spotify, Boxing Now Podcast. Also, you can check us out on the Barn Burner. I'm going to put it on the screen here. Barn Burner Zingo TV app, channel 250 on Android and iOS devices. Jorge, what you got here?
Sure. You can catch me on live_dominoes, my Dominoes live Dominoes program on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. till 11. And some of those are running a little bit later on Saturdays because we get a full audience and a full roster of players.
That's what's up here. So we're going to get this thing going here. This is going to be a little different episode because it's top of the year. The fights we want to see for 2021.
Yeah, considering that we had a good weekend, the prior weekend, discussing the Ryan Garcia fight with Campbell. It's a great way to start the year. It's got our, basically got a, wet our beak a bit right there with the fights year and fight season. And hopefully we get some fights this year that we would love to watch or like to get in our hands this year. Unfortunately, because of politics with boxing, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a couple of these. But I'm hoping with what we've put together here, we get to some of these fights and at the very least lead us into if we don't get it this year, the very earliest 2022.
Yeah. And I want everybody to know that these fights we're doing here, this is politics aside. We know boxing has politics, stuff happens, and we never get the fights we want to see. Sometimes it happens or it happens too freaking late. Mm-hmm. So I threw all that out the door. Some of these fights really can happen. Like,
I believe so.
So that's the thing, though, I want to put out there. I didn't put pipe dream fights out here. These are things that can happen, but politics aside, I know that some of them may not happen, or like you said, could happen in 2022. But we're in January now, so I wanted to find out, talk about with you what you think about these things, these lists that I put together here.
Yeah, I mean, even the list that I have, because I got 5 fights, and I'm looking at it again, and I'm like, okay, maybe 3 of these fights are definitely potential for this year. I think 1 for sure could happen this year, and I don't see how it couldn't happen because I think it makes the most sense. And it's not on your list, though, so we'll bring it up when we start talking about it.
Okay, so first one I'm going to put up here is Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield 3. I'm just going to go out the door with this one here. Boom. Tyson Holyfield 3, 2021. Yeah, we're about, 24, 25 years too late for this year. But, hey, Tyson, Roy Jones made me a believer. Yes, Jorge.
You know what? It's funny. It made you a believer. Yeah. I thought, okay, that wasn't that bad of a celebrity fight. When you brought this fight up to me, I chuckled my ass off because I thought that was hilarious. But the more we talked about it, the more I thought about it in our pre-meeting, I'd watch it. I paid for it. The only thing I would probably ask for is one fight for Holyfield where he would hopefully get in the ring with like Roy Jones. Somebody like Roy Jones. Somebody retired at least. Hell, George Foreman for all I care. I don't care. As long as it's a couple of...
No, we talked about that before. I don't want to see Big George no more. I'm done with
Look, I'll take Larry Holmes at this point.
I got Foreman grills not even being in use right now.
Look, same here, but give me Larry Holmes. Somebody with a big gut.
Larry Holmes?
Hey, that man.
My voice went up like to the highest decimal level.
That man would fight in the corner and rub his gut and just say, come on. You remember that stuff, man. Later in his career, he was entertaining to watch, man. That man rub his belly and say, come on.
Why are you doing this to me, man? I agree with you to a degree that, I should check his age. I don't know if you could pull it up really fast while we're talking about Holyfield's age. I know he's in his Is he? I know he's older than Tyson, possibly, right? Because he was no. Well, he's in the Olympics later. He might be a little bit
No,
younger.
he might be a little bit younger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because Tyson was in the '84 Olympics and Holyfield was in the. Were they both were in the '84 Olympics, right?
I thought so, and
Yeah.
in different weight
Yes.
classes
Yes.
at
Yeah.
that point.
Different weight
Yep.
classes. Yeah. Yeah. Cruiserweight and or light heavy and then heavyweight for Tyson. Correct. But
Yep.
they both went pro at different times though. Oh man, I should do my homework on this one. I feel so bad, people. I'm normally good at my boxing stuff. Anyways, the point I'm saying though is that I was a believer because of what happened with Tyson and Jones.
Damn, he's 58. Holy shit.
Wow, is he really?
I don't know if we're gonna get him in the ring.
No, we're gonna get. He needs some money.
I'm not saying he's not gonna get in the ring. I'm just saying, I mean, shit, if he's gonna fight Tyson, how old's Tyson?
Wait, Tyson is 54. Tyson 54. Okay, wow. Okay, but did you see Holyfield working out?
See, this is not fair, right? I'm looking at his Wikipedia photo from 2011. He looks like he's in fighting shape in 2011. Man, that's like 10 years ago. Man, man, Holyfield's gonna have. I don't know. At this point, I'd rather see Holyfield than Hopkins get in the ring. At this point,
originally it was supposed to be Tyson and Holyfield because Holyfield was training first. So there was videos of him working out. He's in good looking shape. Like he looked like as far as like how Roy Jones got himself in the shape, you know, he had a little flab on, but how Tyson looked good, how he shedded 100 pounds. Holyfield looks good right now too as well. He was training before Tyson. So he's already in shape and he's ready for the check. And the fact that Tyson Jones did 1.5 to 1.6 pay-per-view buys.
You know what? Okay, here. I'm looking at a present.
This could do 2 million, Jorge.
I'm looking at a present photo. Okay, all right. They can do the fight.
They can do the fight.
See,
before we started here, people, Jorge laughed at me.
Oh no, there was a chuckle towards a big laugh, Snoop, and then brought it back down and thought about it.
Let's bring Snoop Dogg back. Let's bring Mario Lopez back. Who do you want to add to
Lampley? No, I need Lampley. I need some of these. I see some of the HBO guys. Minus Foreman.
No, Lampley would be on the call. I'm talking about like Mario, the host.
The hosting, I'd say if you're gonna
Lampley, Snoop, and Paulie Malignaggi.
I'd probably say Snoop and Lopez at the beginning, and then once we get down to the ringside, I want Lampley and what's his name? Malignaggi. There you go. I'd be happy with that.
No, Snoop the whole time because Snoop is gonna give that comedy. He'd be like, "Come on, Holyfield, you got that chin, son. Give him that barbecue sauce."
I think,
nephew.
I think in between rounds when he's got something, instead of here in the corners say anything, I think him throwing in 10 to 30 seconds worth of would be awesome.
Like you have Lampley doing the call. And then I forgot whoever's we have.
Take it to Snoop and Lopez on the side.
And then when they get to the 1 minute intermissions in between rounds, that's when they're sitting down, whatever. That's when Snoop goes to town for 30 or 45.
Exactly.
They get the camera in there. You hear a little content. Snoop's like, "You see that, son? Look at that. He got barbecue sauce on him. He need to go ahead and whip that around. Whatever Snoop put on there, give him that 30 to 45 seconds, and that's comedy gold."
If you're not going to do it with Snoop, here's the other concept I was thinking about that maybe should be looked at. Get a couple comedians in there and just have them rotate round for round. They're going to have something smart ass to say within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that'd be gold. I think you throw in Chris Rock, throw in Jerry Seinfeld, anybody, anybody.
No, it's got to be a boxer. It's got to be a boxing fan though. Because in the past, we've seen they throw anybody in, it doesn't work. But when you throw in the true diehards, they work. Because Snoop's a diehard and it work. Like you see, like Nick Cannon, he's diehard and it works. Like you see the guys in front, like Dave Chappelle, he's diehard.
Comedians, boxing fans. I hear you.
We've heard Dave Chappelle talk boxing.
Yep.
It works if you want to throw that in there too as well. I bet you Dave Chappelle will be all in on that.
Yeah, but especially if you say it's a schedule, say 6 rounds, right? It's not going to be more 6 rounds.
8 rounds, like Tyson Holyfield.
Exactly.
8 rounds.
And it's,
and I say 3 minutes too, because they both, even though they're older, they complain about that. Because they said as soon as they got started, Tyson said he couldn't do anything. But Jones was out of shape and he was feeling because he was taking too many body shots. But I think Holyfield, with that hard-ass cranium, could take Tyson's hard shots and can go to 8 rounds at 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think if it's 8 rounds, I think you can find 8 comedians worth of comedy for the end of every round.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely would want on a rotation, and I think that would look pretty well. So if you got, say, 4 comedians, 2 jokes, 2 for round. Oh yeah, I'd watch. That'd be fun to watch. I mean, I would want them to make fun of the idea that you have older fighters coming out of retirement, 2 box, but having a good time in the ring, and then the commentary outside of it.
Did you watch the whole pay-per-view? We're gonna go to the next fight, but did you watch the whole pay-per-view with Snoop and Mike Tyson.
I have to watch it. I didn't watch it because I was at first in my head I was like, this didn't make it didn't feel good to me, but it made sense from a fighting point of view.
See, what you said is what Snoop did. There was one joke that he told. He said, "This is like both my nephews in the backyard arguing at the picnic here. Come on, nephew's back, his uncle's backing up." Like the jokes, like you're saying there. He's like, "This is like my uncle's." Like everything you just said there, what Snoop did. If you get a chance to watch it, that's why I've been so high on that aspect of Snoop being brought in for any boxing fight going forward now.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the concept. I think where we disagree with the concept is probably on the celebrity fighting. But if you're going to give me old retired boxers who have no problem getting in the ring and having a good time with other boxers, I'll watch it. I'll watch it because more often than not, I've watched all those boxers in their past fight.
Real fast, because the fact that there's no old timers leave for boxers because they get hit in the head. So if they still got their faculties, and they already know they jacked up anyway. They've been jacked up their whole life by getting hit in the head. Let them do that. Let them do what they want to do. Like I said, as long as they matched up with someone in their bracket, their age group, their what they can handle. Like we can see like Roy Jones fighting like Evander Holyfield. If that was like the first fight, we would agree on that.
I wouldn't mind seeing Roy Jones fight Bernard Hopkins again, just to get that 60-40 promo again.
Oh, people, if you get a chance, Google 60-40 Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones.
60-40 the third time around. Come on.
What happened was,
just relive it for me. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Real fast. I didn't want to. I teasing you, but Roy Jones beat Bernard Hopkins the first time. It wasn't really a good fight, but they both were young in their career. And then at this point here, a few years later, Roy Jones was the man on HBO, and Hopkins looking for a rematch.
It's about 10 years later, I think it was, because it was a long way. It was like, at that point, Hopkins was still young in his career.
They both were young.
And this was before Hopkins regained the middleweight title and started making that big run of defenses. So it was about 10 years.
Yeah. And then Hopkins was angling for this fight. And Roy Jones, being the biggest a-hole he was, but was so freaking right. He was like, 60-40, get your ass whooped. Because Hopkins went at 50-50. No one was paying to see it. Even though Hopkins is a great fighter, Hall of Fame fighter, and had less promo back than HBO, no one was going out of their way to watch a Hopkins fight on HBO. But everybody named Mama was trying to watch Roy Jones back then. And he was only asking for 60-40. So he should ask for 70-30, honestly. But classic video. You got to watch it.
Yeah, nice argument. It was after a Hopkins fight. Talking 50-50, and then Roy Jones like 60-40, I'll whip your ass. And it just kept repeating it, and it is gold.
Man, let's go to the next fight now. I didn't think we were going to talk that much on that one. See, you didn't think that you would like that idea.
I did like that idea. I did like the idea. The more I let it sink in a little bit in the pre-meeting, I'm like, that's okay. That's gold. I'll watch it.
Next one now.
All right. So here's the fight that I was.
Oh yeah. You got some fights here. I forgot you switched it up on me. So yeah, you go ahead.
So we'll put 5 fights together.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But here's one that I was thinking about that you didn't mention right there. Super middleweight division, Berlanga Benavides.
Against who?
Edgar Berlanga versus David Benavides. So Berlanga 16 knockouts, all in one round.
I would like to see that.
And Benavides is a number 1 ranked. He's probably number 1 ranked to go against Canelo moving forward. But Berlanga's right there.
You know what? That could happen this year.
That fight.
That's realistic. That's a realistic fight.
That's a realistic fight that could happen this year. That one I would pay to watch. I'd like to watch it live. I'd love to go see it personally, wherever it's at. Madison Square Garden sounds about right when hopefully things clear up with COVID. And I'd be there for it.
Both of them are your Puerto Rican brethren, ain't they?
I'd love to be there for that one. Come on, that sounds like a June fight already.
That does sound mad June-ish.
That sounds like a June fight.
That sounds mad Puerto Rican June-ish there.
June fight, and I can see it well promoted.
Yeah. You know what, though? I don't know. This is the second show that I don't know why I didn't think about him. And that's why I can't do a show alone. You gotta have good people next to you. That's how that's how you're successful in life, people. You have good people next to you. And you brought them up again. And you know what, though? That is a fight that can happen in 2021. I'm all in on that.
Yeah. That's what I'm in.
You know what, though? I don't think that goes 12 rounds.
No, it's not. No way it goes 12 rounds. Not with that power, and now with the fact that he hasn't gone anywhere past the first round. So to me, he's a one-hitter quitter, or he's gonna get one-hit quit.
And you're forgetting that David's on the coke. Yeah, he's tested twice for coke. So if he got the extra sauce in him, baby, he'd be extra amped.
Who tested for the coke? That
David Benavides.
Really?
Yeah, he lost his title.
No shit.
He's been stripped because of failing drug
test.
And
that's why I need a good co-host who can bring shit up like that. Shit that I don't even think about. I'm just thinking about the boxing, and you're thinking about all the antics afterwards. My God. Hey,
but you know what, though? That's just like the human encyclopedia of my boxing brain that is. Like, who knows that he if he's on the coke, he might have extra elevated access to do some things while your boy Berlanga can knock cats out. I mean, they might do a double knockout like in the Simpsons episode or something.
Okay,
Or
cocaine is a hell of a drug. Let me type that in here.
you see what happened? See, for this show here, I've upgraded the set here, and we have multiple laptops on the table here that he don't have to bring his stuff here, and now he's used it to his advantage here.
Yeah, cocaine is a hell of a drug, quote unquote. Thank you, Rick James. Love you, buddy.
Wow. Okay. I like that one though, Jorge.
Yep.
That's good.
That's a good
2021 fight that could happen at 168, and literally that could set up literally that's a fight that could do with the right promo would be the perfect B-side to Canelo.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you set the fireworks up, you have a good fight, and then you literally have a foe for Canelo that says, you know what? The money's there now. And you literally have your Mexican-Puerto Rican war.
I think Berlanga, so I know Berlanga's a young fighter, and he's hungry enough, I think, to fight 3 times a year, maybe even 4. So here's how I kind of see it, right? If I see that as a June fight, I see him getting a fight maybe in February, maybe early March, where at this point, he's got one round knockout power because all of his wins have been right now in the first round. All of his knockouts have been in the first round. Right. So I say he probably gets that fight, calls out that fight, and he probably gets that fight in June. If he wins that fight in June, he probably gets maybe 2 more fights before the year's over against some mandatories. And before you know it, he's fighting maybe Canelo the following year.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the build-up for that fight. And even that fight, you can sell that fight in May. You can sell that fight in June. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Canelo eyeballing that one saying, come on, boy, come on. Yeah. Come on, do your thing. I'll see you next year.
I can imagine all the fights in Vegas.
Oh, that fight will be in Vegas. That's gonna be a beautiful fight.
And I can imagine all the Mexican Puerto Ricans fighting. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna be in the background just watching my popcorn, just looking at all y'all Latinos just going at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of those you can just sit in the background and just be like, yeah, Jorge, you got get him.
Hit him. This the one time the blacks will be like, yeah, y'all do y'all thing. Yeah, I went there. Okay, next one. Good one. I like that one.
Sure.
Let's see here. I'm gonna skip around here, and I'm going to say Deontay Wilder against Alexander Usyk. Heavyweight division.
I like that fight for the obvious reason is Usyk has moved up from cruiserweight as undisputed champion. And right now, the middle tier of that division right now is lacking, mainly because of drugs and bad training. Thank you, Ruiz and Big Baby Davis. Idiots. Anyways, but I would hope that Usyk kind of fills out that fourth type of fighter that kind of gets in the mix of things with the main 3 right now. So I think a fight with Wilder would make a lot of sense, and basically allowing Fury and Joshua to kind of settle things at the top right there to kind of more like set things up for like a third, for a fight afterwards for the winner of those fights to fight the winner of that fight.
Yeah. Now, will this fight happen? This is one of my fights that I do not see happening. Not this year. It ain't gonna happen. I mean, I would love to see it happen. I put it on here because I look at it as like the consolation, the semifinals to the big boys. Like, we all know we want to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. But Wilder's coming off the loss. His ego's bruised. My man's hurting. He's going through some things. He needs a shoulder to cry on. And that shoulder crying could be Usyk in a form of a 3rd round knockout. Usyk, he needs a shoulder to cry on too because he wants that WBO belt, or he wants to fight Joshua, and they're going back and forth. They both need someone to love. That's the way I'm looking at it, and it could be a big money fight, and literally like this the selfish boxing fan in me that says Usyk gets to prove he's a legit guy, or Deontay Wilder beats the top guy and gets us back on the winning ways that sets up him being the winner for Joshua Fury.
Yeah, I think Usyk is the right risk reward at this point for Wilder after coming off of this loss. Right, to your point, you got a couple of bruised egos for a couple of reasons. Right, one for the loss, the other one looking for a dance partner. They're using social media right now as their sofa right now and their psychiatrist to talk to. So at this point, I think the psychiatrist on social media will say, just fight each other already. Yeah. And that's basically, it's us, right? We're consuming that part, and we're like, okay, well, then just fight each other, shut the hell up. That's kind of, so to your point, I agree. Will that fight happen? Probably not, but it'd be nice to start to have that somewhere in the year, because it would make the most sense to me, I mean, you basically right now don't have a fourth dance partner. Ruiz was supposed to be that dance partner. Big Baby
Yeah.
Davis should have been part of that mix.
Yeah.
Right now, you kind of need that fourth guy to kind of say, hey, you know what? I want to make some noise going up, climbing up to the top. Usyk is that guy to make that kind of noise, but right now I think he needs to fight Wilder to kind of to get up there. I mean, it's the right risk reward for both of them, right? He needs to prove himself here. Wilder needs to kind of get his his confidence back.
Yeah.
This is the right type of fight for both of them.
Yeah. So just let everybody know if you're watching this and you want to be particular. I know Wilder's with Al Heyman, PBC, and Usyk is with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom Boxing, the Zone, Fox Showtime. So I know about that, but this is one of those fights where like I just want to see it.
Yep.
I know it can't happen, but hey, it's 2021 and these guys need each other. That's why I look at it. If people need each other, they should fight. But hey, that's the business of boxing.
Yep.
You got
Exactly.
another one here, right?
So let's see here. So most of this we've kind of agreed to, but so let's get right next to while we're in the heavyweight division. Let's talk Fury and Joshua. I think that's the fight
Yep.
that could happen this
Touched on
year.
that.
That should happen this year, considering what happened in 2020 and that the fight could have happened last year as well. I don't see any other way that fight doesn't happen this year. I can see maybe a tune-up for both of them if they're trying to get some. I think not Joshua, but probably Fury gets into a fight. We mentioned this with him in prior episodes before. I think he gets into a fight with Waylon again. That may make sense for Fury's point of view to kind of clean up some old wounds from a fight that for the most part. I mean, he was given the benefit of the doubt with the cut in his head to keep on fighting. Right, to your point right there. Right, you would have stopped the fight. The ref and the fight doctor were letting him go out on a shield, and I thought it made for a great fight at the end of it. So I'm glad it happened, but I can see Fury wanting to clean up old business there and take care of that fight in a rematch. I mean, that's the only dance partner right now to me that makes sense that I would watch. Anybody else right there would have to be somewhere lower in the weight class, like a Parker, uh, Chisora maybe, but I mean, I don't see Fury. It doesn't make sense for me to see Fury get a tune-up fight unless it's Waylon. But I think after that tune-up fight, I mean, it's got to be Joshua this year. I don't see how it isn't.
I'm glad you brought that up because I don't. Waylon's not going to be available because he is going to. Well, he might be available later on in the year, but he is signed on to fight February 13th to get Dominic Brazil.
And you know what? Actually that kind of makes sense right there if you think about it. So you figure Waylon Brazil they fight. I think the winner there could fight Fury in a tune-up fight. I can see Fury Joshua later in the year
Yeah,
trying to rebuild it back up, rebuild the momentum back up from a promotional perspective.
more of a PBC thing. It looks like, course, with Dominic Brazil. So, um, I see if Waylon wins, I see him getting probably Wilder.
That could happen too. I can see him fighting Wilder as well. They might be trying to line that up.
Yeah, Brazil rematch possibly. I wouldn't
I don't
want
want to
to.
see Brazil Wilder.
I don't want to see that again because he cleaned his clock in that second round knockout, didn't he?
Exactly.
Ugh.
So I think if Waylon fights Wilder and Brazil gets the consolation prize of getting his ass kicked by Fury, I don't mind that either.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said, Fury gonna need a fight. I think he's gonna need a fight to get some ring rust off. He didn't fight in 2020 after the fight in February, so I think he needs to get at least a tune-up fight before the fight with Joshua. I can see them pushing that fight to later in the year and trying to build it up again promotionally. After losing the momentum with COVID last year, so I can see it working out this year that way.
Yeah, and I don't gotta have much to add on that one because we talked about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua a lot already. I want to see the fight. There's no need for a tune-up on it. We'll figure out the politics because the WBO situation with Usyk, and I'm glad that you brought that up after I had mentioned Usyk anyway. If he's able to step aside for a month, they give him just enough money and say, "Hey, let this fight happen," and then he'll let go of the WBO belt,
Mm-hmm.
or can you wait to the fall? You get if Joshua wins, you get the winner regardless. The WBO belt is going to be relinquished. We want to see that. There's got to be at least a dollar amount for that to happen.
Sure.
Just from the pure statistics of, I just want to see all four belts in the ring.
Yeah.
And the ring too. So technically 5 belts. I just want to see, even though boxing has too many belts, the fact that it is here, I just want to see all that at one time. And then the next day they can take them all away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if whoever gets all the belts, I don't care. If we want to relinquish them all, relinquish them all. The point is that I should be able to at least pay for a pay-per-view where I see the winner have all 5 belts and I'm done.
Right, exactly. So it's on me now, right?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, let's see here. It's this. We won't go long on this one. This is the obvious. Javante Davis, Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
The obvious.
I think it's obvious, and I think that possible could happen. The money, I think, is close to there already. If not already there, I can see both cases making an argument not for 50-50. I can see both cases see them making the case for 50-50. I can see someone going 55-45.
I see 50-50 easily because the fact that uh the three belts on one in an ESPN platform, and ESPN Plus that Bob Arum holds it. That is such a promotional vehicle that Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather doesn't have. Now, what they have though, they have the pay per view arm already.
Sure.
Already established one fight, 300,000. Not to mention also too that you put Tank in Baltimore, he sells out, so he already has a home crowd. So I see the fact that we look at money factors involved, and it's a pay per view. These guys can easily, and then they're building themselves up. They're both names. I don't see Floyd or Arum haggling on the 50-50. Only thing I see a problem with is the timing of it. I want to see it happen this year. Will Floyd win it this year? No.
Probably
Well,
not.
will Arum win it this year? I don't.
Well, Airman, I wanted this year based on his past history with other fights and
Exactly.
his penchant for trying to promote the hell out of a fight for more than a year. Which I at some point you gotta get tired of that crap. I
He
can see.
has a history of it, like
He
you
has a
said.
history.
And Floyd's kind of following that too because when Tank was pushing him really hard a few years back, and there was some situation where that Tank wanted to be released from Mayweather Promotions, and him and Leonard Ellerby put him to the side, like, look here, follow the blueprint. And so they finally got him on the right path. You can see if you followed Tank Davis on social media for like the last 3 years, you see a big difference in his career path, mainly because he listened to Floyd now, Leonard Ellerby. They got him on the right path. He's making money, knocking cats out.
Yeah.
So I really see Floyd kind of milking this too. He came from Bob Arum. So think about, like, even though you can see it from afar, he was in that same situation. Bob Arum built him up. Remember, he didn't get his first championship fight till like after he was in his 17th fight against Gennaro Hernandez, I believe it was.
Yeah.
17th or 18th fight,
Gennaro
basically.
Hernandez. Yep, I
Yeah.
remember that fight.
So I think both sides want to hold it up to a degree. Well, but could it happen this year? I mean, technically, take away politics aside, take away promoting on it. If you said, hey, Tank Davis and Gervonta are signing, I mean, Tank Davis, they're saying, and Tito Lopez signed today, you give me 3 months, that fight's big. It won't be as big as it could be, but it should happen now. They're ready.
It'll be big enough that I think you can milk out a trilogy out of that fight, right? Because I think that first fight comes out so well that I can see a second fight no matter what. I don't see it
as long as they're good.
I see it being good. I don't see how it's not going to be a good fight. I think it'd be
Mhm.
an entertaining fight, and it'll be so entertaining that I think I see a second fight afterwards. That's just my belief from the two fighters themselves and the way they fight. It'd be an awesome match.
And let me add this too. With their career trajectory, there should be no reason that they fight at any weight class. Now we know it Tank's at 130 right now. I mean, but he has fought at 135. He's bounced back and forth because he's missed weight a few times, but he's at 130,
Exactly. Yep.
135. Teofimo Lopez is at 135. They're around the same age, young, early 20s, mid 20s, basically. So if it doesn't happen at 135, it can happen at 140. It doesn't happen at 140. It has no reason not to happen at 147 where the money is there. For some reason, when you get to 147, it's the glamour division, 135, 147 welterweight, 160 middleweight, 175 light heavyweight. Once you're in those divisions, the money goes up, when you could put that on the advertisement. There is no reason that it should not happen no later than welterweight. But by that point, like you were saying, that should be the third fight if these guys are who we think they are, and they can put on some classics for us.
Exactly. I mean, I could see them fighting at 135 and then running up to 140, up to 147,
And maybe
and fighting three times at
and
every one of the weight classes.
And let me just say this here: 140 sucks. It's not the money division. People go to 140 just to move out. So maybe they skip 140 and do two at 147.
Exactly.
This is us being greedy, people. We're being extra greedy as we're talking about for a trilogy for a fight that we haven't even seen signed on yet. But yeah, maybe they skip 140. No money there. Maybe they go 147 just because we've seen how boxing works with 140. They only do 140 because Arum owns that. He's been able to do like he's been able to build like Terrence Crawford be the undisputed champ, but no one cares at 140.
No, you're right, and we're being greedy because by the end of the day, you watch these two fighters enough times, you get the reason why we're that enthused about the two fighters and what they're able to probably build. I mean, I don't see anybody getting in the way of those two fighters for at least three fights in a row. I mean, if they fight now, they're fighting three in a row. I don't see how they don't. They are two entertaining fighters, two entertaining styles. and they're both young, which is the key part. They're both young and they're both growing into their own. They're building their own weight, and I can see their power going with them up a couple pounds each time. So it would make for some entertaining fights. I can even see style clashes change as soon as the weight classes go up. I think by the time you get to 147, you might see
They
you're
feel
going to see a
now.
different Davis, you're going to see a different
Yeah,
Lopez,
because
and
they're not trying to shrink down as much now. Because right now they're young, their metabolism is different. They can eat and then shed 30 pounds, and then when they don't gotta lose, like if they're 135 now, that 5 pounds is so huge when they go to 140.
yep,
And then when you go to 140, that is so huge. Like if the most disciplined fighter we've ever seen is Floyd Mayweather, and for him to have his regimen, he walks around like 157, 160 max, and then for him to fight at 147. If you're training for a fight and all you gotta lose is 10 to 13 pounds, you're gonna be at your optimal best than the guy who's got to take that same 2, 3 months to lose 30 pounds.
exactly.
So when they get older, you're right. That is such a great point that their fighting styles, for them, the ability to depend on how many fights they're in, to take a punch, those things like that occur can make the fight better. Maybe if they wait just maybe a year or two when their body fills out.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I think 135 they fight probably the current weights now, but if they get to 140, 147, they could be fighting two different styles completely by that point, and they might even adjust again for the third time. I mean, that's in a way why you want these particular young fighters who've already built up their resumes the way they've built it up through their hands, that I think they bring entertaining styles to the ring that would I think constantly change from one fight to the next as they go up in weight. I mean, to me, there's two dynamic fighters that would actually that would make me happy for the next 3 years if they did that.
Yeah. So I gotta have one honorable mention here. I waited here. You're not gonna like this one.
All right, bring it up.
Layla Ali against Clarissa Shields.
I didn't say I didn't like it. We talked about this in the pre-meeting and stuff, but I'll let you talk about it, man. You've been on the social media aspect,
It is.
capturing
I
the
see.
banter there.
I gotta be honest. I saw another article bring this up, and before this article brought it up, I actually wanted to see the fight only because I love when people talk up a fight. And when they go back and forth, like we see Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis going back and forth on Mike Tyson's podcast and him talking on Max on Box. And I love when they talk. So for a year up and before the pandemic, we saw Clarissa Shields and Layla Ali were going back and
Hmm.
forth. And it all stemmed when Clarissa thought that Layla was throwing shade on her. And then I'm being really short on this, but it was basically like, hey, y'all old folks don't give us no respect. We young cats here, we doing our thing here. We want our roses now. Like I'm multiple gold medal winner. I'm multiple division champion. And then Layla Ali backed up, for a second. Then she's like, yo, if I want to entertain a fight, you gotta pay me. It's gonna be like 10 million. Clarissa, she's down Val Heyman. She was like, I got that bag. So it was like, all right. And then they went back and forth, and then finally the pandemic happened, and then boom, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's women's boxing, and Clarissa Shields is a name, and she's building it for the sport. And I've met her in Vegas. Even though you see her like that, she's a cool woman.
Yeah, from what I've
You
seen from
know,
afar, she seems like she's a great fighter. I've seen her two fights already where I was like, okay, she got talent.
mhm.
It's one of those things where it's not like the women's MMA in UFC where there's talent in that division and in either division where you can see it from 1 to 10 and so and you see it advertised well. Women's boxing doesn't do a good job, in my point of view, of marketing that part, right? Because you get to know maybe Clarissa Shields, remember Layla Ali from the past, and that's about it. There really isn't much there, and it sucks because I think the most you hear about women's boxing, I think, is when the Olympics come around, and then if any of the gold medalists decide to go professional. But it's a damn shame too, because I think there's room in boxing to allow women to box. If you can do it in MMA, I think you can do it there as well.
Yeah.
That's not one of those get off my lawn type of things. That's one of those, hey, look, I've watched a lot of UFC women's MMA, especially if they were the headliner. I watched it. So I know that it can be done in boxing. I think they need to probably take a page out of Dana White's book on trying to build out the division and make it, at least deep enough, 6 deep, 8 deep enough, so that way at least I'm getting some entertaining fights and mix it in with some good fights, some fight undercards.
And let's keep it honest here. I think Shields would beat Ali.
I think so too, because
She's
Ali,
too old right
she's right
now.
now clear. So Layla Ali's too old. And I'm not saying
I'm not trying to put no disrespect on Leigh Ali. I just think that I'm
she's
not
out the
trying.
game. She ain't been in the ring in a while.
And no disrespect to her, I just think that because of the time when she came up with women's boxing, she's iconic because she attached it. She attached her name to it,
Mm,
and being her father too, like that legacy of the family.
yeah,
But she didn't really have any real competition. She,
yeah, I
you know,
remember.
it happens in boxing, but it's even worse in women. And so that's why Clarissa Shields, you see her, she's just bouncing between weight classes. I mean, she doesn't matter. She's just trying to find the right fighters that who can compete against her. She doesn't have much knockout power because when you fluctuate weight that much and being a woman, I'm not trying to take anything away, but that takes away from your power, especially when you're a little bit heavier fire than she is, in that nature, bouncing back and forth. But she get handed.
I,
I want to see it because the build would be so dope.
in my respect for Clarissa Shields, a little bit different. I think a lot of what you mentioned here with Layla Ali, that's a lot of the social media banter. But I've watched a couple of her fights already. I mean, I'm like, she's good.
Oh yeah, she's good. I'm not
She's
taking
good.
away.
So
Yeah,
to me, I'm like,
I'm not trying
like,
to take anything away. I'm just I'm being detailed
no,
now.
no, no. I heard
Yeah,
what you say, but flip from
that's all.
I take the social media aspect out of the whole equation. I'm like, she's a good fighter. So,
Yeah.
so to me, at the end of the day, I think boxing is doing a disservice to her, not
Mhm.
filling out a division for her or a couple divisions for her, and he's putting at least 6 fighters deep. At least do a good job of trying to build out a division and promote some of those other fighters, so that way when Clarissa Field fights someone like that, who knows? She might get surprised by somebody. We just don't know them yet because if you don't promote them, how are we going to know?
Right.
And all I've seen is Clarissa Shields and a couple no names. I want to see Clarissa Shields fight somebody that maybe got promotionally built up the right way and worked her way up the rankings using her fists, right? And maybe a little social media promotional part. I'm not a fan of it, but it happens. It's part of boxing now. So do what you have to do to kind of get those fights going.
I have one more fight.
Sure, gotta
And
bring
then
up the last one because I think, like I said, a lot of our lists so far have been about the same, but except for the one that I mentioned earlier.
here's the one I got here. Last one. It's not going to happen this year. I wish it could. Maybe in December. But Canelo Alvarez against Jamal Charlo.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that one up. That's the one I agree with you on wholeheartedly. I think Canelo needs that partner. I think Charlo needs that partner as well. Um, I think it needs to happen. I think it'll be really, really good for boxing for Canelo to get in the ring with another young guy who is up and coming, is in his prime, and is fighting his ass off right now and deserves that shot, that shot right now with Canelo.
So with Canelo, just for 2021, he's got a fight in February, and he's going to try to do, of course, Cinco de Mayo, May, and then Mexican Independence, September. And he's already made it plain that he's trying to get all the belts this year alone.
Mhm.
He has no restrictions on the network, so it's a rat. He's just going to go through that. But maybe a December fight, I don't know. But Charlo's the one guy that I can see literally outside of. I mean, he's at 160. He'll have to come up, of course. If we go to 168, we're talking, the two guys we mentioned earlier, I think they're probably a year away from
Mhm.
giving Canelo a good fight. This year, no. I think they're 1 year away. But I think Charlo now could beat Canelo now. I would
You-
make him the favorite, but when they get in the ring, I could say, yeah, he could win. He
Yeah, I
can
can see
beat
those
him.
betting odds being like 3-1. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
something
it
wild like
wouldn't
an
be a
8-1
blowout.
or 5-1. I can
Yeah,
see those odds being 3-1, even 2.5-1, because Charlo is young enough to give Canelo. I can see in spurts make Canelo look old.
yeah,
I think he's the fighter that could do it.
and one thing I see about this fight, this in Texas would be for me a Canelo Floyd 2.0 because I tell the story all the time how me and my dad almost got our asses whipped in Vegas for no reason because Canelo lost. And the Charlo brothers in Texas, ooh, they talk, they talk, they talk. They are heels. They don't care. And then you add that in Texas, where Canelo has drawn huge in Texas. They've drawn huge in Texas too. It doesn't. They're from Houston. Imagine that being in Dallas Jerry World Stadium
I
with the Charlo Hill and then the Canelo right next door to Mexico and
I
Texas.
I, I say Jerry World. I hear Jerry
Oh,
World. You know
or
what?
Vegas too,
No,
but
no. You know
but
what?
Jerry World would be the one.
For whatever reason, I've been to
Texas
San Antonio. I visited the Alamo.
or San
What?
Antonio too.
I'm
Yeah, the
thinking
last fight,
Alamo.
Canelo's last fight was in San
I,
Antonio
I
as
would, I
well.
would, I would, I'd watch it in San Antonio. I'd be at the Alamo Dome. I'd be outside the Alamo waiting for the actual riots to happen out there after whoever wins there. Because to me, that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
If you're a heel, you're the heel brothers. You're gonna have some heel
Oh,
fans.
and I forgot. It ain't just gonna be Jamal there. You're gonna get Jamel there. They're both gonna be there.
Oh, no,
If you fight one, you get both of them.
it's exactly so.
It's a 2-for-1 deal. You may only get one in the ring, but you're getting the other one in the corner.
Yeah,
And he's barking too.
Exactly. There's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of shit talking. I can see the build up
Yeah.
for that fight. It's I think San Antonio would be awesome to watch it there.
San Antonio or Jerry. Only reason I mentioned Jerry Road, you get 100,000 that bad.
I hear
so
you.
that means everybody will be in there, and then there'll be multiple fights.
Yeah,
that'll be a riot.
Alamo would be just because of the history of the war.
I mean, they get about what 40-60,000 that range. I can't remember the exact number, but they get about 40 or 60,000 right in there.
Yeah, just I guess some historical context right there. The Battle of the Alamo. That's yeah. It doesn't matter who wins that fight, who loses that fight. There's gonna be some fights outside of that.
I keep saying, ooh.
They're fighting on the Riverwalk right there at the Alamo. Oh,
I keep saying,
it'd be bad.
And that bell means that we're gonna come close to the end of this episode here. This was our 2021 fights that we wanted to see. Now, like we said, these are fights that may not happen, but some of them may happen.
Yep.
Hey, so
one honorable mention here I think
go
we
right
talked
ahead.
about would be Crawford and Spence.
Oh yeah. Well,
honorable
that's
mention.
a given. That's a given because we mentioned on a few previous episodes. Yeah, I had talked about that, but
it's not going to happen this year.
I don't see it.
I see Porter and Crawford fighting this year because Crawford's already come to the conclusion that that's what's left, and Porter's already called them out on it. So, and Crawford's already acknowledged it. So I think that fight happens this year, and I don't see Spence Crawford fighting at all this
year. Yeah, I think the earliest we see 2022.
And that's if Spence is still wanting to fight at that weight class.
Depending on Crawford's pending free agency.
That too as well.
This year. Yeah. So a reason why we're not gonna go in detail that we did a whole show.
Yes, we did.
We want to do overkill. We're gonna be talking about that. There's gonna be more rumors, there's gonna be more talk. They've been on social media. It's gonna happen.
Yep.
You know, not happen, but we're gonna be talking about it again when I say it's gonna happen.
Yep.
So on that note, we're going to close this out here for this episode here. So like I'm going to say here, I'm going to put on the screen here. If you're watching this here, click like and subscribe. That's all you got to do. Like and subscribe. You ain't got to be a hater, you know. YouTube, Boxing Now Podcast. I got on the screen here. Spotify as well, Boxing Now Podcast. And if you're a follower for our Canadian fans as well, the Barn Burner app, you can download that as well. The Zingo app, channel 250. Barn Burner app actually has the audio-only podcast as well on there, so you can get us in many places as well as Zingo to watch us on live channel 250 on there. Jorge?
Twitch TV, live_dominoes, live dominoes casual play with good players there. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.
And also, if you want to see me as well as my brothers, we're on Jump Off Live, the show Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central on YouTube as well. Jump Off Live, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central. On that note, this is the end of Boxing Now Podcast. Glad to have you back. We'll be back next week. For my man Jorge, I'm that dude named Dave. And until then, we'll check you later.
Yep. Stay safe, folks.